Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. Thank you for joining me for this video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Carolina Panthers, the team that made that trade for Sam Darnold. So now with Darnold in, how is that offense going to look? The health of Christian McCaffrey, that's going to be extremely important for this team. Will they be able to take that next step? How are things going to look? A lot of questions, but also a lot of reason to be optimistic about this Carolina team. And so, but really quickly, before we get into the 2021 predictions in terms of what I think the season could play out for these Carolina Panthers, and at the very end of the video, I will go back through and talk about the potential, the ceiling of this team. And so at the end, after I do my personal predictions, I'll go back through and talk about games that I feel that they could, win this upcoming season. And so sort of form what I think is sort of like the, I guess you can say, realistic ceiling for the Carolina Panthers, but with that being said, do keep in mind, these are my personal predictions here. And I do include things such as upsets, as we know throughout the NFL season, plenty of times there are going to be games that you lose that you like, we should not have lost to that team, vice versa. Just because I have a team losing to a certain team doesn't mean that I necessarily think that the other team is better. It's just, a lot of different factors such as, bye weeks, who I think is going to be hot at that time of the year, things like that, that plays a factor into each and every decision. But with that being made, let's go ahead and talk about these Carolina Panthers. And so right off the bat, I'll start with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he is absolutely huge for this team, so important. And if you play fantasy football, you certainly know what Christian McCaffrey brings each and every week when he's healthy. But obviously, Mike Davis did a tremendous job last year filling in for him the games that he wasn't there, but he wasn't Christian McCaffrey. But they don't have Mike Davis there, so I'm interested to see, how the backup situation works out, because we know Christian McCaffrey, his health is going to be extremely critical. But if he can go out there and be healthy and give you a full season, sky's the limit right here. I'll say that right now. Sky's the limit. And I do love, the addition of Chuba Hubbard, coming over from Oklahoma State. I mean, I feel like that was a good draft pick right there. I'm really high on him in terms of his potential. So I do like him in the Carolina Panthers offense. And then we're going to talk about Sam Darnold here. Sam Darnold, coming over from the Jets, he never really he didn't have a lot of talent around him, honestly. He was not put in the best situation for him to succeed. So I'm excited for him with this new opportunity here with the Carolina Panthers. I think that he's going to be better than what we saw with the Jets. Now, just how good, that remains to be seen. But I certainly can see him being around that, middle of the road this upcoming season. And, we'll see if he does find a way to exceed that. But somewhere along that lines of between, 20th and 10th in terms of just quarterback ranking, I think is realistic for Sam Darnold, should he go out there and take advantage of the weapons that he's got. And talk about some weapons. I mean, Robbie Anderson, he does have that connection from, their time together at the Jets. DJ Moore, absolutely fantastic receiver here for Carolina. They picked up David Moore from Seattle. Terrence Marshall Jr., love that draft pick as well. Another guy who is showing off right now in camp, I feel. And so I'm excited to see how they're going to utilize their weapons, and I'm excited for this Carolina team. Then you look at the offensive line for Carolina. Back when Sam Darnold was with the Jets, he did not have that kind of pass protection. So all across the board, if they can stay healthy as a team, I believe that this is the offensive unit that can really surprise a lot of teams this upcoming season. And then when we look at the defensive side, I do like their draft pick of J.C. Horn. Probably wasn't my top cornerback in the draft, but I still think that he, would be a tremendous cornerback, in the NFL. He certainly has that potential to. And then on the other side, Dante Jackson, picking up A.J. Boyer, from the 49ers, when that they've had him there. And then, just looking up front, you've got guys like Brian Burns, Derek Brown, and then Yetur Gross-Matos. They've got some guys there, Shaq Thompson. If these guys can go out there and have a season in which they're capable of, but I really feel like for Carolina, honestly, they're going to have to try to get off to a fast start early on, because looking at their schedule, the ending of their schedule, that is pretty brutal, honestly, just looking towards the tail end of their schedule. But certainly, if they can get off to a fast start, that'll bode well for these Carolina Panthers. I think that the Panthers had one hell of a draft, though. I'm really liking what I saw across the board. I mentioned a couple guys already. Terrence Marshall Jr., that was fantastic. Even the offensive lineman from BYU, Brady Christensen, I thought that was great. Picking up another tight end, from Notre Dame, Tommy Timmel, that was good. And so just going down the board, I felt like they just killed it when it came to that. Dante Brown from Alabama at guard, another receiver from South Carolina, Shi Smith. And so, I mean, they really did do their due diligence when it came to these Bama players, though. They got a long snapper as well, Thomas Fletcher. And if a team's drafting a long snapper, he's got to be pretty good, especially coming from Alabama. And then later on, that last pick from Kentucky, Phil Hawkins. And so, yeah, I really love what Carolina did. Definitely one of my top draft, like from top to bottom draft picks for the Carolina Panthers. And I was impressed with what they've been able to do. And I think they set themselves up nicely for the future of this team. And in 2022, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're going to do, especially if Sam Darnold does what I think he's going to be able to do in this system. And so with that being said, though, obviously there's a lot to be excited about, but let's go ahead and start talking about how this team is going to look this upcoming season. So the opening game against the New York Jets, you've got Sam Darnold going against his former team right off the bat. I mean, you could not have scheduled it any better if the NFL was trying to. I've got the Carolina Panthers winning this one. I think they're just a better football team. Sam Darnold, he's going to be obviously wanting to show these Jets that, he was not the problem and try to outdo Zach Wilson. So I've got Carolina winning that one. And then first game against New Orleans Saints, I don't know if it's going to be Taysom Hill or if it's going to be Jameis Winston. I think Jameis should be the starting quarterback, but I don't know which direction they're going to take. But I think Carolina early on, a healthy Christian McCaffrey, I think that they'll be able to beat these Saints here at home. Against the Houston Texans, yeah, Carolina's just a better team there. I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to be playing for Houston this season, or at least especially this early on. So I've got Carolina starting off 3-0. And then against the Dallas Cowboys down there in Jerry World, I've got the Cowboys winning this one. I just feel that, the Cowboys are going to be excited, especially at home, and so that'll be a tough one on the road for Carolina. But they will rebound nicely, I think, at home against the Eagles, and I've got them beating Jalen Hurts and company here in Carolina. Now, week 6 against the Minnesota Vikings, this is one that I really do think could go either way, but I gave this one to the Minnesota Vikings here. I've got the Vikings winning this one. And so far, starting off with a 4-2 thus far, and I mean, given possibilities here, a 4-2 start for Carolina, I think that's pretty good. And then against the Giants, another one that I feel that Carolina could certainly win. But I gave this one to the Giants, the fact that they're at home, I think that they'll find some way somehow, to stay in this game. But I think this one could go either way. And so stay tuned for the end of the video, obviously, when I, talk about my overall ceiling picks for these Panthers and stuff. But I gave this one to the Giants. And then in week 8 against Atlanta, down in Atlanta, that one's going to be a tough game, even without Julio. I've got the Falcons with an upset here, winning that one. Against the New England Patriots, talking about upsets, I've got the Panthers upsetting the Patriots. I believe the Patriots are going to be one heck of a team, personally. But I think, just given how Carolina has, given the Patriots difficulties over the years, and then, Cam Newton, if he's still the quarterback for the Panthers, obviously he's going to want to show off against these Panthers, but that's not going to work this time down in Carolina. I've got Carolina winning that one. And then week 10 on the road at the Arizona Cardinals, that's another one that I feel, could go either way, but I gave that one to the Cardinals. Definitely do check out my Cardinals video. I think they're going to be a tremendous team this upcoming season. At home against the Washington football team, I really think the Washington football team is going to be a very good team. However, I think that the Panthers can find a way, to win this one, especially if C-Mac is healthy. Week 12, down there at Miami, I think Miami's going to take care of business at home. So at the bye week, I've got Carolina 6-6, so they're clearly still in contention here, when it comes to a playoff spot. But obviously, the final stretch of the season is going to be extremely important for these Panthers. Then at home against the Atlanta Falcons, I've got Carolina winning that one. So as you can see, I've got them splitting with the Falcons this season. And then against the Buffalo Bills, I mean, Buffalo, that's just going to be so tough to go down in Buffalo. I mean, this is a tough schedule, especially at this part. I've got Buffalo winning that one. Against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tampa Bay, hey, I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending champs, winning that one. Going down to New Orleans, that's going to be a tough one. In New Orleans, they're still going to be a good team, even though Drew Brees is retired. So I've got them losing to the Saints here. And then, yeah, so the final game of the season against Tampa Bay, ending the season here, got the Buccaneers. So I've got Carolina finishing 7-10, but they've got certainly a bright future ahead of them, no doubt about that in my mind. I just feel like I like their odds a lot better in 2022 than I do, say, currently right now, 2021. But hey, I mean, in terms of the ceiling of this team, they certainly have a high ceiling, I feel, and I'm certainly looking forward to going back through here and changing some of these games that I feel that they could win. And so just looking back at it, I feel like after the bye week, that's going to be tough to go down to Buffalo. And then, the Saints, I just think the Saints really are a good team here. But in terms of games that they could steal, against Miami, if Tua does come out and struggle, that's a game that I feel that Carolina could potentially take that one away from them. So I'll give that one to Carolina. Now, this is my ceiling picks here in terms of like the ceiling for this team. If they could win that one there, obviously, if they could sweep the Falcons, win at home against the Giants, against the Vikings, that one I feel could go either or as well. And so I'll say the ceiling of this team, realistically speaking, now obviously, that one as well as the one against the Cowboys is one if they play hard, they could win. But I feel like 11-6 would probably be the ceiling of this team. So basically, for me, my expectations for the Panthers in 2021 is to go anywhere between 7-10 to 11-6 in terms of their, potential. And 11-6, that could potentially be enough, maybe to qualify for a playoff spot. But obviously, we'll have to see how that plays out. But certainly, this is about the ceiling for this team, in terms of what they could be. So I mean, hey, there's a lot to like, and obviously, even with these predictions, Carolina still could have their sights set on a postseason run. There's going to be a lot of good teams, especially, in the NFC this upcoming season, so a lot of competition. But, hey, there's a lot to be excited about for these Carolina Panthers. So thank you guys so much for joining me for these selections. I hope you're not too harsh on me here, Panthers Nation. I mean, hey, I really like what you guys did this offseason. You guys did a tremendous job, Carolina, in terms of just, what you guys did with the roster. I love, Matt Rule, Joe Brady, that combination there. So let's see how these Carolina Panthers do. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you guys next time.